Welcome to Command Control Power, the longest-running Apple consulting podcast. For over a decade, we've delivered weekly episodes filled with epic tech support stories, troubleshooting insights, discussions about managing clients and businesses, and interviews with industry colleagues and vendors, all tailored for our pro listeners. We also offer exclusive content through Patreon. This private podcast feed is designed specifically for IT professionals, providing valuable advice and guidance on tackling the more complex aspects of running your practice, working with clients and employees, and managing device fleets. With a modest monthly contribution, you'll gain access to a wealth of advanced Apple expertise, meaningful connections, and a community driven by a shared passion for Apple technology. Visit commandcontrolpower.com and click support to learn more. And now, on to the show.
Welcome to another episode of Command Control Power. So recently I was talking about some complaints about Siri, old news, right? We've been complaining about Siri since Siri started. And it's the one product, I think, that we can basically all agree. I mean, the biggest Apple fans out there can all agree that Siri is the one thing that has progressively gotten worse. Like, I cannot think of an example of where it has consistently gotten better. So fine, we've talked about Siri, we all agree, and hopefully it's going to get better with more Apple intelligence being infused in it. But general tech annoyances have been bothering me too. And I really don't want to make this a complaint show, but I'm surprised after switching recently to the MacBook Pro. I joined the MacBook Pro camp. I switched from the MacBook Air camp. I needed more space. I wanted more memory. Those two things have been better, but I've actually found that the system seems a little bit less stable. So my MacBook Air running, I think it was running 15.2 at the time. I've only switched relatively recently. The MacBook Pro running the same. The MacBook Pro has had a couple of unexpected restarts that I almost never had with my MacBook Air, like kernel panics or whatever we call that now. Waking from sleep is slower, just consistently slower. Like my MacBook Air, I would tap a key or press the Touch ID button. Again, I'm in clamshell mode, so external display, keyboard and mouse. And my MacBook Air would be pretty quick. It would come up. I would know right away that it was, okay, I see the screen light up and then there's my desktop, right? The MacBook Pro is slower than the MacBook Air. It takes a little bit longer. Yeah. So what have you noticed, Sam? Just the same thing? Like there's a delay waking from sleep or?
Yeah. And sometimes I have to disconnect the display connection to get it to show up again.
Same. So that's happening a lot more often. So my experience with that part of it was, even with the MacBook Air, I was having some of that where it's like I'd come back from a coffee shop. I'm working just on the laptop. I plug it in to the USB-C cable. That should supply power to the Mac and that should light up the display. And that was inconsistent. I thought I fixed this issue. So I have one of these Ergotron arms that I can move my monitor around. And so I need a little bit of a longer cable to go from the back of the monitor down this arm and to the back of the desk and then where my Mac sits there. 6 feet is just a little bit too short. 10 feet is the next step up. So I got a 10-foot USB-C to USB-C cable. Only certain cables are recommended for 4K video, blah, blah, blah. So I thought I found an appropriate cable, and it wasn't a name brand, though. But it was like a lot of people make USB-C cables in the 10-foot length that are not name brands. And it was working, but inconsistently. And I thought maybe this is a cable issue. So I did some research, and I found that above the 6-foot length, you sort of need a booster or extender or some kind of special circuitry. So there are a couple of companies that make proper USB-C to USB-C cables that support all the features, fast USB-C speeds and all. And I thought that I found one that was consistent and reliable until I got my MacBook. And it did make a big difference. It seemed to me I never had that issue with my MacBook Air. And then when I got the MacBook Pro, I've been having the issue again. So now I'm really not sure if this was ever the cable or not. It just seems like third-party monitors have this issue. So Mike Kingsley in the chat says, what monitor are you using? Because I've recently learned that sometimes the monitor can be at fault for slow showing of the screen over USB-C connections. And one monitor he was just looking at had a firmware update to fix that. So I did look for a firmware update to my Dell monitor. I had already installed it a while back, so that did not solve it. There was no more recent one. I have the UltraSharp U2723QE. It's like the latest good quality Dell.
I have not tried a firmware update. I'm too lazy, so I just unplug and replug. Because whenever it happens, I'm like, I got to get going with something. So then I don't address it later. I probably should, but I have not.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so the original one I was using was just a generic, I forget if it was like Anchor or one of those other brands of USB-C to USB-C cable, 10-foot length. I'm, of course, scrolling my Amazon orders and I'm not finding it immediately. But yeah, I mean, it like mostly worked. But then when it didn't, I thought, well, maybe it's just a bad cable. So the ones that I've tried more recently, the first one didn't work, didn't seem to solve this problem or affect this problem. And in fact, it seemed worse. So the issue is that this one is a Thunderbolt 4 cable / USB-C. So I think that my Mac might be trying to treat it like a Thunderbolt cable, but the monitor is a USB-C monitor. So I don't know if that was part of the issue. But anyway, first one I tried was Cable Matters, 40 gigabits per second active USB-C or USB 4 cable, 9.8 feet, blah, blah, blah. So Cable Matters, 40 gigabits per second cable. Okay. That one, like in theory, should have been good, but didn't work. The one that seemed better at first, and I'm using now, but I'm not sure it's solved it, is the Cable Matters unidirectional active USB-C cable 10-foot with 4K video, 10 gigabits per second data transfer, yada, yada, yada. This one only supports 60 watts for charging. So that was the other reason why I wanted to try the other one first. But anyway, the Cable Matters one seemed better at first. Now, the weird thing about this one is it's directional. So you have to like plug in one end to the monitor and one end to the device. So I thought that's a little funny, but that's just how they have that boosting, happening in one direction, I guess. So anyway, I guess this might not be a MacBook Pro, like issue, or maybe it's with certain monitors or certain cables. It's just complicated.
Does Apple sell a fancy pants cable you could buy?
I think they sell a Belkin, like a Belkin one, but I don't think they have it. Well, I can double check this. I don't know why I didn't go with, I usually check there first. Great.
If you got it on Amazon, you could get it and then return it.
Yeah. I'll look. I know Apple has a bunch of those types of cables. I don't know if they have that length. I think they do, though. Is there a version of this? I guess it's Thunderbolt that has an optical version too.
Probably like $700 for the cable.
Yeah, especially for a longer one.
Yeah, actually, they do have a Thunderbolt 4 cable in the 3-meter length for $159. So that I think is actually relatively new. Like that recently came out. So maybe that's the next one to try for me. I don't know. Anyway, so some of the other frustrations. So waking from sleep is tough. But then, Sam, that issue with like I have to unplug it and plug it back in to the monitor, that happens much more regularly. And it used to only happen when I would unplug it and go to a coffee shop and come back and plug in the cable. Sometimes it didn't light up on the first try. I'd wake it up. I'd open the laptop and see if then it would light up. Then I would leave the laptop open and unplug it and reconnect it, and then it would work. That was only coming back. But if it was just stable, it seemed like it would wake up normally much more frequently. Now that's happening if I just like in the morning, I've been working at night, walk away, come back the next morning and try to wake it up, and it just doesn't. And I have to unplug it, open it, swing the dead cat.
These were problems that the early LG displays first had.
Really?
Yeah, I remember that.
In the early days when Apple didn't have their own display.
I love this. Chris, however, in the chat is saying, good time to expense a Studio Display or Pro Display XDR. Oh, believe me, I was tempted, Chris. As Jerry knows, I'm pretty good at justifying like, well, how much is my time worth? Says I'm sitting here opening and closing and plugging. And, it's like, just get the Apple one and be done with it. I hope maybe that would fix it. I don't know, but... Yeah.
Well, see, this is what happens, Joe. Like I drive a Honda Accord. I don't have to buy any fancy parts for it. I didn't spend a lot of money for an oil change. You bought this expensive MacBook Pro. You got to buy all the fancy accoutrement to go with it. And this is,
I love that word. Accoutrement.
Yeah.
Well,
right,
if you find a solution, let me know. Because like I said, I'm lazy. I'll just wait for someone else to fix it. And be like, I'll buy that.
It's been like that for me. And then, I thought I had it solved. And so there's the cables I've tried. But yeah, the other thing is that my Touch ID on my Magic Keyboard stops working sometimes. And I've had a couple of cases where I've had to just restart my Mac. And it does a weird thing where it's like, I know you have Touch ID, but it doesn't like 1Password will be like something about there's an issue with Touch ID. Like it knows if something's wrong. It's weird. But other things, where it's supposed to work, it's just not available. You have to type your password like an animal every time. So yeah.
Like an animal.
Apple Plus subscription.
They came out with Plus, Joe.
Yeah, they came out with Plus, exactly. Unified.
Nice, Mike.
PoE Plus. Oh my God. Anyway, so those are this week's Apple Tech annoyances. You have anything to add to that, guys, besides what we already talked about?
Well, really quick, just because you mentioned the words 1Password. So have you used 1Password autofill with any pages that have a CAPTCHA? And
No,
if
I don't
so,
know.
what's the behavior? Because 1Password will recognize that, especially if it's a secondary page, like the first page is email, and then it loads a password page with CAPTCHA. I just wish it fills a password and tries to enter it. But if there's a CAPTCHA, it'll always fail. So then the 1Password logins always fail. And then I have to go in and say, select I'm not a bot or whatever.
Right.
I get it. I'm not really complaining, honestly, about this one because I understand. But I guess I would have to change a setting. I think 1Password has a setting change where you can say don't auto log in, just Phil.
And then to add insult to injury, you fill out the CAPTCHA correctly, and then it asks if you want to save it. 1Password. Has that happened to you?
Oh, really?
That's great. Yeah.
I love that.
All right.
Yeah.
He knows.
Oh my God. Yeah.
It's frustrating. That's my only complaint about 1Password this week. Otherwise, it's been working pretty well, actually.
I treat 1Password like one of my children, Sam. They're not going to be perfect. They're going to make mistakes. But for the most part, they're good kids. It's a good app.
No,
I'm going to look the other way sometimes.
I do. I honestly, I could not live without it. That's a guarantee. But the browser extension things bother me sometimes. But whatever. I can get by.
No, I'd agree that it's mostly working pretty well these days. With a couple of minor little, sometimes it glitches out and I know what to do now. Now it's like, okay, I know I just need to, you have the refresh option and then like refresh the page. And I actually like the auto submit. I never thought I would like that, the auto login part where it fills in the password and presses return basically. But I actually find in most cases that works and I prefer it because it also has the effect of like, when it's a two-step log, it's like first they want the username, like with Synology, for example, it'll fill in the username and then go to the next page and then fill in the password and log in. So it's just really, it does save a few clicks, which I'm spending those clicks on like troubleshooting my monitor. So it's like, it's nice to save a few minutes, from 1Password. It balances out. But yeah, it's interesting. Well,
Joe,
so
I gotta hear this Bluehost story.
Yeah, let me get into it. So Bluehost, okay. So I don't recommend Bluehost. I never have. It's like I never told this client to sign up, but I've been working with this client for about 15 years, I think, and probably about that long. I've been recommending like you've got to switch. And back in the day, we might have recommended Careo, like in the early days, and then of course when Microsoft, started offering first-party Exchange hosting, essentially, like we've just been using them ever since. And so our recommendation of who to switch to has changed, but certainly switch away from Bluehost consistently since the beginning.
Yeah.
Are they using it for hosting or for email or both?
Well, I think originally both. She has a couple of domains. One of them got moved to a different web host, and she at some point turned on I don't really know. There is at least one website at Bluehost and 2 email accounts at Bluehost. Yeah.
Are usually with a lot of these low budget web hosting providers, they have a direct portal to buy it through Google. So Are they getting their email through Google, or is it Bluehost is the is the email host provider?
Bluehost. Yeah,
okay.
directly.
Yeah. I just wanted to add that clarity to the story before you started. Okay.
No, that's super helpful.
All right. I'm on the same page as you now, Rob.
Oh, okay. And so in fact, Bluehost has a service that they offer. And I actually don't know if this is a third-party service that Bluehost offers, like in the way that you're describing, where they're like a reseller, or if this is their own branded thing. But they have a service called Spam Experts. And by the way, they're not experts as far as I can tell.
Spam amateurs.
So yeah, it should be called spamateurs.net or something.
There you go. Even better. Damn it. Why didn't I think of that?
It's good, it's good back and forth.
Open.
Yeah. I should have used that on the line with the agent because I had ample opportunity to talk to these people last week. So, the client, this all starts because the client emails me this failure. I should bring this up on screen because, of course, this is also somewhat of a red herring, right? Because the way this is phrased. But basically, she emails me that, hey, can you look at this? Any idea why my email's not working? I'm getting on a plane in 30 minutes. Oh, great. So talk about urgency. First of all, it comes in by email. So how urgent could this really be? But, I actually see that this is really urgent because you're about to get on a plane and your email's down. And that's just, frustrating, basically. So it all starts with this bounce message. So it's like, delivery failure. It shows a 550 error. And so if you look up like what that actually means, well, what it says it means is this address basically is not permitted to relay through the server without authentication. And in another case, it says, NASA code 550, please turn on SMTP authentication in your mail client or log into the IMAP server before sending your message. So Bluehost sees that, even though it's coming from their system, and they're just running down the wrong path entirely. So they're like telling me it's the SMTP settings. Don't worry, I can log into your system. And are you using Outlook or are you using And it's like, hold on a second. This is like I'm getting this bounce message when I try to email this client. So that's the issue is not SMTP on my side of things. Yeah. Let's get this straight. So why are they talking about SMTP? Well, because, I'm getting this message, it turns out, from antispamcloud.com. And the remote MTA is spam experts, mx.spamexperts.com, whatever. So she's essentially, I think, sending like through, I don't know if she's sending through Bluehost and it's then being filtered through spam experts or the other way around. But one of them is just saying, I don't know what to do with this, or, this isn't, something's not working. And guess what, Bluehost, it's on your side. So that was like my first call to them was like, no, you need to look at this. Okay, well, we'll put in a ticket. So she had already called them. It turned out there's a ticket, whatever. So they update the ticket and now they're working on it. And I said, well, the email's down. What can we do here? Well, okay, so we're going to change the zone file. So they're talking about changing DNS, but I think they're talking about internally. And I don't know if they just misspoke or if that meant something or not. But basically, my theory is they're going to change that so that instead of it trying to relay through or from or whatever, the spam experts thing, like just bypass that essentially is what my assumption was. Bluehost escalates the ticket with spam experts saying, like, well, this is their issue, whatever you think. And they said, oh, that should be up to date and that should work in 4 hours. So your email should go back to working in 4 hours. This is, by the way, what the client was told the day before. It turned out that she had called them a day earlier before she brought us in the loop. Then spam expert says, within 24 to 48 hours, that's what escalating means to them, is that you're going to hear back in a day or two. So finally, we should find out that they fixed the problem and now everything's working. Meanwhile, I go and check, because this all starts again with a bounce message and my email isn't working. So then I go and I'm looking, I'm like, let me test her other email address. It was initially not clear if that was working or not. So then I'm like, let me check her domains. The one domain that's on Bluehost website is just not loading. It's like forbidden. You do not have permission to access this resource, / on this domain. Well, that's weird. So I call Bluehost back and I'm like, hey, just so you guys are aware, we can't get web or email. And by the way, I'm trying to log into the Bluehost portal to kind of like investigate what the heck's going on, because now she's given me her credentials and stuff because she's getting on a plane. And I can't even log in. Like when I go to the Bluehost portal and I put in her domain or her username or whatever, it redirects to the same kind of like forbidden thing. Like it's not even a login page. It's just like not working. So now I'm reporting that to them. Okay, sir. Well, we have the ticket. Well, we're working on it. I just need you to know it's not just the spam experts, whatever you thought it was. This doesn't add up. Nothing's working. And it's clearly that you're having a problem. Like I feel like your server just blew up, but what do I know? You guys have to figure this out. So that's like 2 calls that are each 30 minutes to an hour, mostly waiting on hold for someone on the front line of phone support to text message chat with the real tech support people and wait for a response. And so it's just a lot of waiting and it's like eating up, now half a day.
Do you have a feeling you're talking to somebody in a former Eastern Bloc country or something like that?
I mean, not native English speaking, clearly. I'm not sure where they were located. And also, I mean, sometimes they offer support outside of US business hours, which is great. But also, again, sometimes certain people are just not available until the next morning. So nothing's really going to happen. Part of this process was like, do whatever you have to do. Like if I'm not talking to the right person, you need to escalate this. So I'm saying that to them also, like, can we escalate this ticket? Can I talk to a tier 2? Like what's going on? So at some point it gets flagged, probably like my third call, they then flagged where I'm getting to talk to tier 2, but it's still not what they call tech support. They call it web support or something like that. And it's like tier 2 web support. So I'm still not talking to people who can actually fix things. I'm talking to people who have a better handle of the English language and customer service and have to still chat with the real support people who, God forbid, get on the phone.
Typically with any of these, no matter what you call with web technologies, you can never talk to somebody who can affect change.
Right.
They have to Slack to them, or they have to.
Totally.
These people don't talk. Yeah.
No, right. Exactly.
Because they're far too important to do
they're
that.
too important to be on the phone with you, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like multiple calls to get, like, now it's escalated. I'm confident that someone knows it's in their ticket. So I'm supposed to hear back, of course. Big surprise. I never, ever hear back from anyone over there. Right. So then I call the next day. Okay, I'm calling to follow up because the email's still not working. You said it was going to work in 4 hours. It's the next day. It's still not working. Website's down. Everything's down. I can't even. They're going, okay, let's see. Well, I can't even log into the Bluehost portal for your account. Yeah, I know. It's in the ticket. I'm stuck over here. Like, there's absolutely nothing I'm able to do other than move the domain. But I don't even know if I can do that because I can't get into their portal to even if I wanted to transfer registration or change the name servers, like, I'm literally totally stuck and waiting on you guys. So somebody help me out here. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I see that. Okay, well, I marked it as priority ticket, and there you'll hear back. And I said, okay, can you confirm? Because I've added my email address to this ticket, but I've never gotten an email from you guys. What is this? Okay, well, is it blah, blah, blah at, bluehostedemail.com, the domain that's hosted that's down right now? Yes, that's. So that email's down, and they say, oh, well, we can't send an email to you if the email's down. I know, I'm telling you, I gave you my email address. Like, are we communicating here? Like, okay, thank you. Well, you've confirmed you've added my email. Can you send me something from the ticket so I can say, okay, I got your email. So now I know that it's working. So I don't have to call you and say, did you email me yet? Because I didn't get anything. And they're like, no, sir, we're not allowed to.
Can't do that.
It's like, okay, well, sorry to ask, that's too much. So this is multiple days now. So that's the second day. Took multiple calls that day. So then I can't remember if it was I think it was late that second day, like that night, that I get an email from them and they say, well, we see the problem right here. And they sent me a screenshot. There are no files on the server. All these files here are 0 kilobyte, and they're explaining to me, and I'm like, there's no files on the server? Like, I know what you mean. Like, what happened? And please fix it. So then they come back and they offer, well, as you didn't use our backup service, you don't have any way to restore the backup. But, good news, we have a backup and it costs you $49 and we can restore the backup from our backup. And I said, please. And they gave me 3 dates. Like, one was 2 weeks prior and one was 3 days ago and one was 5 days ago. So I asked the client, now it's another cycle of back and forth because she's now away. She's away on a big trip celebrating a huge wedding anniversary, like a massive milestone wedding anniversary. I'm like, I don't even want to bother her, but she wants her email working. So I'm going to ping her again and say, they need to know what date. When did this start? When did you notice your email is down? Because we need to pick the right date here. We have to restore to the most recent backup, but not one that's so recent that you're not going to get any data back. So what's the date? Fine, we figure that out. I write them back on the ticket. So I get 2 emails from them on this topic where they say, the issue is there's no files here or whatever. So one of those emails comes from a no reply address. So I'm like, I'm not going to reply to that. That's not going to work. And I get a second copy of the same exact email. And it's from I'll just give you the email address, bhtechmail@gmail.com. So this is like Bluehost's really super secret squirrel tech support email that is like a Gmail address.
That means their hosting isn't even working for their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm like, what is now? The problem is getting worse. Now you guys are using Gmail. Like, maybe I should switch to Gmail. I'm going to recommend that. So I reply back, I'm like, all right, I'll take the bait. I'll reply to Gmail. So I reply to the Bluehost testing Gmail service. Please refer from January 6th. And I said, how were these files deleted? What do your logs show? Right. Guess what? I got no response. So now I'm on the phone with them the next day and I'm live with an agent and he's, again, not real tech support, but he's tier 2, whatever. So he's trying to be there for me, but still a little bit iffy. So I said, did you get my email? No. I said, I sent it last night. He says, oh, that email refreshes every 24 hours. It purges. So I'm like, okay, well, whatever. Just, you're asking me for a response. I'm replying to you. Like what? Like, please understand me, He's like, okay, I'm in there right now. So he's at gmail.com, right? So he's live with me and send it now and I'm going to make sure I get it. Okay. So I resend okay, I got it, sir. You said, please restore from January 6th. Yes. Okay, great. All right. So I updated the ticket. Great. Okay. So we'll be back in touch with you. Sure, you will. So now I'm at this point, I'm saying to him, I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll hear from you. I'll be calling you when I don't hear from you. This is what I'm telling these people now because I'm like, I have no faith in you, any part of your system. So now, okay, good. They're going to restore. How long is that going to take? Well, 24 to 48 hours. Listen, guys, 24 to 40 hours might have been acceptable on day 1, but we're in day 3 now, and this client has no email, no web. Please just push this a little bit. Don't worry, sir. I'll mark it. Okay, fine, whatever. So then I wait a few hours and I call them back for an update. And they said, what is the status? I said, don't ask me what the status is. I'm like, because like every time I have to go back in my brain and say this happened on this day and then this happened. And then I'm just like, don't make me tell you the story. Like you have a ticket in front of you. Just read it. I'll give you 15 minutes to read this. Please.
15.
Okay, so yeah, no, like there's so many updates. So I go back through it. I'm like, I did this. I just confirmed to restore from January 6th. Do you see that in there? I don't know. I don't see. So, okay. Then they find the update. And now this person tells me, oh, I have to apologize. So the agent you spoke with, when they updated the ticket to say that they got your confirmation to continue with the restore, they missed a step. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This whole thing is missteps. Like there's been no step that I haven't pushed you up, like he forgot to create the ticket internally for their tech support team to do the restore. So he updated the ticket that says that I confirmed to do the restore, but he didn't make the ticket for the people that are going to do the restore. Okay, I'm trying to hold it together here, but now I'm venting the frustration to anybody who will listen because it's just completely ridiculous. So I'm like, now you just lost me more time, right? So now you guys are costing my client time. This is getting ridiculous. So they put the thing in the system. I say, can you take some ownership of this? How long is this going to take? Well, 24 to 48 hours. Okay, but I can't wait that long. Do I have to call back to keep getting an answer? Isn't there a way you can you call them or text them or whatever you have to do to get a response? So this person, to their credit, says yes. I said, please don't. They said, I can't do that when you hang up because then another call comes in and then it's a whole other thing. But if you stay on the line, you can just put me on mute, take another call, do whatever you have to do. As long as you keep the line open, I'll just keep pinging them every 30 minutes to like get an answer. I'm like, oh, thank you so much.
Operation.
Yeah. So guess what? It never happened. Like that night, that day, whatever, didn't happen. So next day, I call back. Still didn't get anywhere. The client is like chasing me now. What's going on? I can't believe these people. Can we migrate now? No, I'm not migrating your email now. Like that's not happening. I'm not changing gears to start the migration progress, which I've been recommending for a year in earnest. Like here's the proposal. Like, for probably 14 years prior to that, you have to leave Bluehost. But like actually giving a proposal, like you have to migrate. So then she approved it at one point. We had a scheduled date and then she canceled the date of starting the migration. So this was all in the last several months. So this almost happened. And then this huge shit show happens. And then in the midst of it, she's like, can we migrate? I'm like, I'm hoping they get your email back so that we can migrate from server to server. If we have to migrate under duress here, first of all, I don't actually know if it's going to be possible because I can't even change your name servers at this point. So anyway, so she writes me, then no sooner did she write me following up to that to be, what do we do now? Like this has been taking forever. She's like now at her wit's end. They finally follow up and say, congrats, we've restored the data, whatever. So I go to the website, it's loading. I send her email, no bounce messages. I write her, I'm like, is it working? Can you confirm? Can you check the website? Like make sure all the features work. She has uploads and things, whatever. And then I hear radio silence from her. I get nothing from her. When this all got fixed finally, like on Thursday, or maybe it was Friday morning, and didn't hear anything back until today from her. So then I was like annoyed. I'm like, I put a whole week into this, following up with them like 5 times a day, basically having to push them along or this never would have happened. And then I get nothing from the client. So she kind of thanked me like eventually, like today, but like not really, I was just like,
she has no appreciation for the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you were heroic, right? It's a heroic tale, and
Hooray for Joe story.
It's not a hooray for Joe story, but yeah.
no, let's put one back for Joe. So, what kind of a website just generally was this? Is she like an interior decorator? Is she an artist? Like what sort of
she
stuff?
does. I don't want to give too much away. I'm just careful with that stuff. But it's like
an exotic. Model.
It's a service. It's a service to people where it's something to do with, like, let's say essay editing and review, something academic, essentially.
Okay, so does she work? It's her own business and she does editing or something like that.
Yeah, she has other contractors and stuff.
Yeah, I see. So it's not like she has a pet store and this thing needs to be up there all the time. It's more.
Well, I mean, she's not going to have new business coming in when the website's down,
Right.
The existing customers might be like, oh, what the heck? Is this a reliable service? Did she ghost me? I mean,
if they're getting bounce backs, were they getting bounced? I'm assuming so.
They were. Yeah, so. Immediate also. In certain cases, I can say to the client, well, what happens is the message goes out and doesn't get a response from the server, and it waits and it tries again after 4 hours and it tries again after 8 hours. And then, so some of the emails from the last 2 days might be delivered. No, it was an immediate bounce message. So that tells me the server, like, for all those messages in the ether, like, they're not going to be delivered ever.
And Sam says they, but it's just her, right?
She has one person working for her and then these subcontractors. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. So yeah, there's more to it there. So, this has all the markings of either the website was hacked or her email was hacked because of an insecure password. And then Bluehost probably can flag these things because she's on some sort of a shared server. And so they just shut it down. They just closed the door.
You blew it.
Well, but they didn't just shut it down. Every bit of data on the server was gone. So I think that they didn't detect, I think you're right. I think that it was probably someone who logged in, I don't know what to think. Part of me thinks Bluehost completely screwed something up and lost her data, Yeah. Because what is a hacker? It's not like it was ransomed, it's not like the files were encrypted on the server. They showed me a directory listing that showed a few kilobytes worth of data. So somebody either hacked in and erased everything just for fun. I don't know how you even do that because then the Bluehost portal, cPanel was down and whatever, so they just erased everything on the server, or Bluehost had some kind of catastrophic data loss bug,
Right.
So
I don't know. This could be, we saw how hard Rackspace was hit a while back. Right. This could be something where just a shitty, web host is just, got crap infrastructure.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
This is total crap infrastructure. And exactly. So I asked them, I said, okay, please restore from January 6th. And I said, something to the effect of what happened? What did the logs show? Give me some information here. I just need to know what the heck. So they reply back and they say, hi, my name is so-and-so. I've taken ownership. Okay, we finished restoring. Please let us know, how it works. So I reply back finally, thank you for restoring the data. I can confirm the website loads, whatever. And then I said, what happened? How did the server lose all of our data? Second time I'm asking the question. So they reply back and say, I'm afraid that the investigation would have needed to have been done prior to the restore, as we would need to find different timestamps throughout the files and folders as reference points to check against the server logs. Unfortunately, these timestamps are no longer available, being changed from the recent restore. We apologize for the inconvenience. So I asked you before the restore, you didn't care about that at the time, obviously. And of course, if you'd given me the choice, do you want to restore or do you want us to investigate for 24 to 48 hours? Well, just freaking restore at this point. I don't know that I would have said wait on that anyway. But also, the server was empty. So what timestamps are you talking about on the server that you've now restored the data over the top of? I don't think that you would have found much information there. I'm saying, is there a log somewhere else? Is there an authentication server you can say, oh, there was a login from, vanilla?
There should be rails for this stuff. It's ridiculous answer.
But to what end, Joe? So that they came up and they said, oh, there was a login from Lagos, Nigeria, and then we had 2 kilobytes left of data. So what? It almost seems to me $49 is a bargain to get it restored if she didn't have a backup of it,
Yeah, unless Bluehost caused the problem in the first place. Now they want to charge us 4 days plus $49.
Capitalize on their inconvenience or their missteps.
No, but I agreed. I'm like, you guys are really asking me if you should proceed with the restore. I mean, I get asking which date. That makes sense because maybe they, they could have known. Okay, the files were there. The files are gone. Use the last time the files were there. I'm like, I would think that they could figure that out. But
yeah. There's no way they don't have this. Any crappy operation will have at least some audit trail, some logs, something.
I hope so.
It's a lot of BS right there. It's a lot of
asking me
malarkey.
about. It's like, do you want to spend $49 to get your life back? Like, yeah. What do you guys think? Yeah, do that. Get it.
That's pretty awesome, Joe.
Yeah, you haven't had the conversation, but I would send her a very nice letter saying, we need to migrate as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah, no kidding. Well, and she said, I do want to do that as soon as I get back from this trip and whatever. Okay, fine. This is what it takes sometimes. I'm going to have to charge her for every minute of this because it just took so much time of phone calls, following up. It's in the back of my head through the whole day, or there's a reminder to call. I took ownership of it because she was on vacation, It's just ridiculous that you have to do that. It's not like I didn't warn her, And so I guess I have to just charge for all that support time. It's like hours of time of basically just calling.
You do. And if she wants to fight it, she can fight it with them. I don't know how she is, but that's where she would go to recoup any costs is to them.
Yeah, good point. I mean, exactly. Take it up with them because, and that's the other thing about your question about, well, what does it matter? Maybe, if it was their fault, then I would say, give me the $49 back at least. And then maybe she would say, and by the way, all my consultants' time or half of it or whatever she wants to try to push them for, and they're going to lose a customer ultimately. So it's overall just, again, clients just need to listen to us. Like, what the heck? It's so frustrating.
All that could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Did you get a how did we do email?
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, I got the follow-up saying like, please let me know how it's working. And they did recommend kind of what you were saying, like maybe it was malware. So we recommend you change your cPanel FTP account passwords and scan your system for malware and whatever. So there is a little bit of follow-up now, finally, from them. But I said multiple times in these calls, I hope you're flagging this, mark this, whatever you need to do to be escalated and reviewed. I hope somebody's listening to this later because this whole process has been incredibly inefficient and frustrating. And I want to say now it's total incompetence. Like the fact that they're emailing us important questions or updates to the email address that's down because it's the same email address noted in the ticket. How do you not even think to ask for the client for, I gave them my address to add to the ticket early on and they said, oh, well, there's a new ticket now for this part of the process and you're not on that one. I'm like, oh, It's just
so it looks like, it looks like in 2021, Newfold Digital it's the parent company of Bluehost, and Newfold Digital owns other brands including Crazy Domains, HostGator, Network Solutions, Register.com, and Web.com.
Wow, that's actually some big one.
Company.
Yeah. HostGator. I remember
so it's Newfold Digital. Newfold.com.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a company from Sri Lanka, so you could probably at least send them some nasty emails.
Yeah, Chris, however, in the chat just said those companies don't care. Unfortunately, those companies don't care, and that's what I'm kind of afraid of. Is like, I mean, I'm not afraid of it. I mean, I know that's the case. I'm frustrated with that because this whole time I was thinking to myself, somebody at that high level of this own parent company is looking at like whatever amount of attrition they're willing to accept. Yeah, okay. So if we outsource our support and we take away their ability to fix anything and we make the real support only central time 8 to 5 or whatever it is, then we're going to lose. Our metrics show that we will lose 3 to 5% of it. Oh, that's fine. We can afford to lose 3 to 5 people because we're going to save 10 to 20x or whatever on our support cost. So they just like, they don't care. They plan for this, and
it's really shady that you're getting support from a Gmail address.
That is super shady.
Weird. I'm like, how do I know that this isn't the hacker on the server who erased all my data who now wants
Slim shady,
BH test or whatever it is. Yeah. BH test mail or something.
That's crazy, man.
And the fact that they ask for a response and then you respond and they're like, oh, we didn't see that. Our email refreshes every 24. It's like, what?
Well, it could be that they have to open up another page and connect to another service. And once they do that, then they can see the emails from the shady email.
Yeah.
I've been seeing a lot of really piss poor support on other technology companies' ends. Like when I'm calling on behalf of clients, I mean, this was the worst of it, Joe, but I've seen a lot of the stuff where it takes days for replies and super slow. And meanwhile, something is critically down and they just don't reply in good, timely fashion. It's really, I don't know. It's really bad. Glad you closed those shades in there, Joe. You're getting some sun on you.
Crazy bright, weird reflections and things. Yeah.
And I had to put on a warmer. But I kept my AirPods in, Joe, so I didn't have any interruption in the story when I stepped away.
Good. Yeah. You would have missed my 19th call to Bluehost if you had. Yeah. No, I'm like, and it just, nobody wins. It's like, I'm charging her, I'll get paid for the time, but it was exhausting. And it's just overall discouraging, all this stuff.
Yeah, it's too bad that, you can't show her this video, but it's almost like we should make another video, a private video where you're just telling Sam and I, but it would just take too long, where we soften it a little bit, but I mean, all the emotional turmoil, because, it sounds, I don't know. It sounds like a salesman kind of thing, but I treat these issues like you do and Sam does. Like these are our own. Like this is my site that's gone down because eventually you're all in. It's not like you can call up and half-ass this phone call. You have to be 100% invested in making it right for the client. And there's so much emotion and so much of your soul, and this sounds flowery, but it's true, that goes into that. Like I'm exhausted when I have these calls.
Same.
And I just feel like I've been wrung out to dry. Like, the old fashioned washing machine, they wring out the clothes or they put it through the rollers, that's what I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, you must have been,
yeah.
And then it's such a kick in the ass for her to be like nonchalant about it.
I was surprised. I sent her the email saying, "Hey, it's all working. Check this.
Yeah,
let me know,
congratulations."
Whatever. And then like the next day, like a little gentle, like, "Hey, just double checking because I didn't hear back."
Are you okay?
Yeah, exactly. And then like Monday, I said, and I'm like waiting.
You should have sent her the Jerry resend.
Yeah, the resend. But I would have resend more, and I would have called her, but she's away, so I'm trying to be respectful and whatever. I'm just expecting when she sees my email, she'll reply back like, "Oh, thank you so much."
Right.
But to your point, it's emotionally exhausting and it's very taxing. Like I've been feeling this lately where when you're holding so much in your short-term memory, like, okay, I have that person, I told them I'd call them back. I'm waiting on this progress bar. I have these 6 tabs open of work in progress and these emails coming in and I'm replying. I got this reply open and I'm watching this progress bar. All of that stuff is like very taxing on like the short-term memory and that kind of thing. And then calling Bluehost, meanwhile, I've got all that going on, but now, like you said, Jerry, I need to kind of focus 100% on that. And I'm finding that I have to picture what is going on their side of things because they're going to tell you stuff that is going to lead to just another half day of nothing at all happening. So every step of the way, they're just like, yes, sir. Oh, sorry. We want to get you off the phone as quickly as possible. I would love to just talk to the next person who has a really easy issue. This sounds hard. Can I just hang up now, please? It's like, that's like really what they would love to say. And so they're just like, oh yeah, 4 hours. It'll be fixed in 4 hours. It's like, where did that? That's nothing. That doesn't.
Yeah.
And so like I'm having to picture, okay, they have another system. They're in chat right now with those people. I'm like picturing that and trying to think about what to tell them to ask those people. It used to be you'd call and they'd be the support people. Now you're dealing with layers of complexity that you have to like translate if you don't want to waste time. So yeah, it's very...
Yeah, or a support center from a completely different country.
Right.
Who would have to read the notes from somebody from a completely different country. So Adam Rice is making reference to the great series Mad Men, and Don Draper, who played the lead on that, said that's what the money is for. And I agree, except that Adam, I don't know the particular reference because I watched Mad Men maybe about 6 or 7 years ago. So you're going to have to send it to us and we can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
Never saw the show.
It's your job. I give you money, you give me ideas.
And you never say thank you.
That's what the money is for.
Fantastic show.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But that's who Don Draper is. And these were ad executives in New York City during the golden years of the 50s and the 60s when Mad Men ruled Wall Street and ruled the advertising world.
I'll have to check it out. Maybe it's time. I'll watch Mad Men for the first time like ages later.
Nice.
It's like, watching Godfather or watching the series that takes place in Baltimore.
Oh, The Wire?
Oh, The Wire?
The Wire, yeah.
I never saw that either, actually.
Oh, we've watched that at least 2 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we're back on movies again.
Yeah.
Series.
Yeah.
Severance.
If anybody's looking for a nice warm jacket, this is a hoodie, but it's a Dickies hoodie, and it's got this nice sort of comfy lining inside. It's heavy.
You selling for them on the side now?
Yeah, if you want to send us one with your logo on it, we'll
yeah. If you send me one with your company logo on it, I'll wear it on the show. And Joe,
Jerry,
you're in Colorado, right? You need warm clothes.
It's 50 degrees here right now. I'd love to get outside for a little bit of a walk before I have some plans tonight, but this weekend there will be a high of 16. And then on Sunday, a high of 11.
Wow.
Well, it's 26 here right now, so you're not getting any sympathy from me.
I don't know, man. 20 is actually a lot warmer than 11, or on Monday, the low is 5 degrees. So that gets to be pretty. And also, the low is -4. On Sunday and Monday. So
do you want to know how warm it is in my insulated box for my barn pump? It's 47.5 degrees.
You need a camera to see when the lights are on. No, you don't have to go out there to see when you need to change the bulbs too.
I know, when the temperature drops.
Oh,
I could have put a camera. Yeah. Sure.
No, I know. But it's a trust but verify kind of situation, right? You get the camera looking at the light, you get the light, sensing. I was going to suggest, they've been talking about on the Apple Accidental Tech podcast recently, and I've just started playing with this stuff too, coincidentally. LoRa, like low, whatever that stands for, LoRa, L-O-R-A. So, and one of the implementations of LoRa is for Meshtastic. Have you guys ever heard of that? Meshtastic? So I'm speaking a foreign language. So Meshtastic is a peer-to-peer text like mesh, communication system. So the idea is like no internet, grid down scenario. You could have these little radios that can each text each other over like massive distances. And I don't know the number. It might be like over a mile or something like that. And they mesh automatically. So basically like you can like point to point, if you can reach someone who's halfway to where you're trying to talk to, like their device will relay the message for you automatically. So I've been playing with these devices recently just to kind of get some familiarity, but some of them are sensors, like if something is open or something is closed, or temperature, or,
or the British are coming.
Yeah, or a water sensor, like if your pipes crack and then the thing, yeah. British, I'm sure you could do the British are coming, one lantern, right? Or, yeah.
One if by land, two if by sea. The same company that makes the sensor for I could put a little drip indicator that communicates over Wi-Fi. But I know what you're saying, Joe. If the grid goes down, we're all screwed.
Right.
Is what you're saying.
So I want to get familiar with I want to start playing with it now. And it's interesting too, because you can start to see when you get one of these devices, you set it up with the Meshtastic app on your phone, you can actually see like a bunch of other people and where they're located and stuff like that. So they show you the number of nodes and what their names are. I've only just begun playing with it. But yeah, if anyone out there is listening to this, knows about Meshtastic and can give me some tips, I'm thinking of writing this up actually and doing a little tutorial to help people, because getting started is like you're talking to a bunch of nerds basically. So I want to have a little friendly tutorial.
This is just a guess. I'm thinking anybody who sort of buys into this is probably a survivalist and probably not sharing the same political views as you. So I'm not sure you want the guy who shows up on your LoRa to be relaying your messages.
I think in the end times we're all going to have something offer and something we need
each other.
Yeah, they are probably a lot better armed than I am.
I mean, you may get your occasional Burning Man person that's going to be part of the network, but I think a lot of these will be
preppers and survivalists.
Yeah, people who are card-carrying members of, dare I say, the NRA.
Joe, I'm interested in this. I'm actually going to check this out more. I got it loaded up here.
I did a little bit of research because the other thing is like a lot of these are DIY. Like you buy the board and you buy a kit and you put them together and you pick a battery, and it's like, I just want to buy a radio and like use it. Right. You can do that. There's a few people that they like 3D print cases and hand assemble these, different. And then there's some that are generic. Do I have this one to show on screen? So there's one that's called SenseCap, and it's this little credit card dimensions, but maybe like obviously a little bit thicker. But this is like a computer of some sort. I don't know if it's like an Arduino or Raspberry Pi or whatever, one of those. And then they have programmed this to be a Meshtastic, thing. So you just like pair this over Bluetooth with your phone, and the battery lasts for like 2 or 3 days. It's got a little USB charger, and you can then, send text messages. Obviously, you want to buy like 2, like, for you and Jen, Sam, to test it, like when she's at school, at work or whatever, see how far it works and see if you can reach the other person depending on where they are.
So if you're in a densely populated area and people are participating, then your message can make all those hops and eventually get to your endpoint. And that's the whole idea.
And there's even apparently, I guess, exit nodes or something where you can run this software with like some kind of radio connected to your Mac or other device that acts as a bridge to the internet. So then you can, I don't know if it bridges to SMS or email or other methods there. So in theory, there's ways of, even if the grid is down like in one area, you may still be able to text out to people who do have internet, outside the system based on it hopping enough times and going to one of these bridges or routers or whatever they are. So again, just beginning to play with it. But it seems like the one with the most kind of traction to potentially be up and running and functional in that kind of a scenario,
I'm definitely.
What scenario is this again?
Grid down.
Armageddon?
Preppers take control and, Armageddon, exactly. Or, I know it sounds a little bit, far-fetched or something, but like you can have multi-day like internet outages where cell is down and, all the local ISPs are down without it being end times. But, you may want to just be able to easily communicate with people, your neighbors or your spouse or whatever the case may be.
Pick up milk. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe get 2 while we're out because, we don't know if we're going to have power tomorrow or whatever. Yeah.
We're out of milk and bread. Sam, how is your shoulder before we wind up for the day?
I thought we were doing a totally new show with Joe's story here on Laura.
I know. Let's do a third show now. Yeah.
Shoulder's good. Thanks. I can raise my arm now. Woohoo! So that's huge for me because I couldn't go above like this last time. Thank you for asking, though. I'm in good shape.
And Adam Rice is voting for the LoRa system. He says he thinks we'll be seeing temporary infrastructure issues like this, like you're describing.
I don't doubt it. Yeah,
that.
That's why I'm not, like, all jokes aside, I'm actually interested in this for sure.
Yeah. So I just posted here, and I guess I could put it on the screen too, the one that I chose. I did a little bit of research. Like I said, I'll text you this, Sam, too, separately. But yeah, the H2T from a company called MuziWorks, MUZI.works is the company. So the H2T, which is, again, sold as a complete device. It has GPS. I just like the form factor and all. It's got the antenna. Everything's there that you need, basically. And then the other one, I think that company also sells this. Let me double check. But again, it's called SenseCap. So SENSECAP. And that's this one. Do they sell the SenseCap? Yeah. So they also sell that at the Muzi.works as well, like as a pre-assembled thing. I don't know if it has GPS in this one. It says it does.
It's okay. I don't want to be tracked.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Jerry's poo-pooing us, but we won't be able to reach him when this all goes down. So
I'm thinking, how many more good days do I have left anyway? So, I don't want to spend too much money.
Oh, boy.
Maybe we'll play with these at Aces. When Adam's there for the Aces number, is it 12? 12 out of 12, right? I think that'll be Adam's world record on that.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll all be there in person. So, this would be a good opportunity to just like put these, test these out and just compare notes on how this stuff works. But
I'm going camo green.
Nice. Sam's going camo green. So if that helps you make your decision, Adam, between the high vis orange and the camo green.
I think, Sam, you should have gone for the Jamf jumpsuit orange.
That's true.
I'm surprised.
I don't want to be easily seen.
Yeah, I don't even know how to work it really. I've just kind of sent a test message, hello world style, and that's about it. But
I'm just trying to pay the mortgage, Joe. I don't have time for these toys.
And heat as well.
And heat. As you can see, I'm not doing a good job of either.
Yeah. Well, good talking to you guys. Another great episode. Yeah, let us know what your experiences are out there with vendors that might suck even worse than Bluehost or maybe even better, Not that I'm looking for a recommendation, but I guess So I was going to recommend going to Microsoft 365 for email and just stick with Bluehost for hosting, but now I think I'm probably going to recommend jump ship for web as well. So what is the state of the art? I'd love to know. And you guys can, whoever's there live, feel free to post it, or we'll hear about the feedback when this airs. But yeah, curious to know what you all think and what your experience is with Meshtastic out there. And Laura, thanks all.
Of customers of all kinds.
Am I on the cloud?
Joe spins his